going to look at this video and we're going to go back and we're going to use some of this techniques that we learned and some of the stuff that we just talked about. And we're going to go through. This is Rachael Cruze. She's Dave Ramsey's daughter. And she's going to talk about habits of successful people, of successful millionaires. But she's going to break a lot of these rules. And I want to use this as an example for you guys going forward. So the reason these things are important is when you go back and you look at, okay, if somebody's giving me advice or I'm having a thought about something, you can sit there and go, is this a red flag or not a red flag? Does this person really know what they're talking about, or are they just bullshitting me? That's what this is. And this is, I'm going to just give you an example of somebody who's bullshitting you.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Rachael Cruze Show. All right, I hear a lot of people say things like, well, there's just no way I can be wealthy. There's no way I could become a millionaire. Listen, I'm a teacher or I'm a police officer. Like, there's just no way. And it's interesting because very few Americans today truly believe that they have what it takes to become wealthy. But today I'm going to show you why that's totally false. And then I'll give you some tips for how you can successfully become a millionaire. So our company, Ramsey Solutions, did the largest survey of millionaires ever with over 10,000 people that participated in the survey who have a net worth of $1 million. And here's what's so fascinating. The top 5 careers for millionaires in that study were engineer, accountant, teacher, someone in business management or a management role, and an attorney.
Okay. Well, let's go back to that real quick. Oh, perfect.
A management role and an attorney.
Okay. So, you know, she goes from, okay, become wealthy to millionaire. All right. She's already done anchoring bias, right? Millionaire, having $1 million is the same as being wealthy. She set the arbitrary number. It's an anchoring bias right there on the $1 million figure. She's also done some weird stuff with mental accounting on that. And we'll get into that in a second. The other thing is, let's look at the 5 professions that we're looking at. Engineer, bachelor's degree minimum. Accountant, yeah, you don't need a bachelor's degree. Most accountants or CPAs have them, but you also have to have licensing certification. So you at least need like associate's equivalent. Teacher, have to have a master's degree in most cases. Business management generally requires a master's degree, minimum bachelor's. Attorney, you have to have a doctorate. So these are all highly educated jobs. Now, when they're talking about millionaires too, I'll get into that in just a second. Hang on.
It's fascinating. It's not like, oh, some big successful, celebrity or, fill in the blank. The average person out in America, those were the top 5 careers of them having a net worth of.
Those are not the average people because they have college degrees. Only about 40% of the population has college degrees. So they're the top 40% educated. So they're not average. They're above average, just definitionally.
Over $1 million. And also what was found is that.
So here's the deal. When she's talking about a millionaire, what she's talking about are usually couples who have a net worth of $1 million. Now, a net worth means if you take all the things they own minus what they owe, their assets minus their liabilities, they're worth $1 million. Most of those people are couples. So individually, they're not millionaires. Together they are, but individually they're not. So it's 2 people. Most of those couples also, or people in those situations, half of their wealth is in their home. So it's not liquid money, which goes back to our mental accounting problem. We're counting the house as liquid money when it's not, because they're not living on that money. So $500,000 is in my house, and I have $500,000 in retirement savings. I only only have $500,000. I don't have that $500,000 in my house unless I sell my house and pay the taxes and all that crap. And even then, once I pay the taxes, I'm no longer a millionaire. So it's not really there to spend. So this idea is it's not really there. So we have the anchoring bias right away that $1 million equals wealthy, but then she's tacking to, well, it's net worth, but mentally counting, I'm saying, oh, well, but the house value, it counts as liquid money equally when it doesn't, because you can't spend it. You can't spend your house. And the other thing is she's going through this survey of millionaires. Well, these people that took the survey, and I can tell you right now, the survey she's going through, most of these people are, people that follow her father and her, and they're sycophants, but they're answering it however they want. So it's already a biased survey going into it. But it's confirming what she wants to believe, which is anybody can do it. But she skips past the fact that the top 5 people, the top 5 professions that do it, all require college degrees or higher education at the very least. Most of them require graduate degrees. So we're already trying to split hairs here. So there's a confirmation bias where we're trying to fit the evidence to the conclusion. Now, the confirmation bias gets worse, and I'm going to show you this right here, where she's going to say.
Also, what was found is that 79% of those millionaires didn't get any inheritance from family. So,
That's it.
Over 10,000 millionaires said, yeah, 8 out of 10 of them said they got nothing from family. So that kind of proves the whole.
That's not what they said. That's not true. And that is another confirmation bias. They didn't say they didn't get anything. They said they didn't get inheritance. Okay? Give you an example. Rachael Cruze here, who's making the O face right now. As far as I know, never inherited anything. She didn't inherit anything at all. But her father's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He paid for her school. She works for him. He's paid for this show. In fact, her jewelry, her clothes, her hair, her teeth, her skin, the camera that's filming her, her house, her husband works for her father. Every penny she has can be directly linked to her father. He has given her a ton. But she's never inherited any money. But does that mean she earned it all on her own? Or is there some nepotism involved here? Was she just lucky that she was born from the right people to have that kind of money to give it to her? So this idea that no, they did it on their own, they didn't receive any family money. No. That would be like her saying, I never received any family money because I wasn't inheriting any money. You were given a ton of money. So that's a confirmation bias. It also falls into what we talked earlier about, self-enhancement. Right? The Donald Trump, I deserve all the credit, none of the blame. And I don't want to give credit to anybody else. So does she get to claim credit for everything she has? Or did it come from, a lot of it come from her parents? Pretty much all of it came from her parents. I'm not saying she's not smart or doesn't work hard, but that's what it is. Now, the other thing about when we're talking about millionaires on the larger sense of the scale here, most of the millionaires she's talking about that are self-made millionaires, once again, half of their millions are in their homes, right? Most of them are couples. On top of that fact, 84% of all millionaires in this country are over the age of 50. Over 60% are over the age of 60. Right? And so they're not making a lot of money anymore. They need those millions to pay for their livelihoods to survive, but they're not living, really high lifestyles. They're living lower middle class or upper middle class lifestyles based on that money. They're not making a ton. They're not wealthy in the sense that we would consider wealthy. Once again, that goes back to anchoring. She's got an anchoring bias that $1 million makes you wealthy, but they're not living on that. They're not living like that. So all these things. So she's confirming all these biases. She's using them, and the bottom line is she's manipulating you into thinking, well, if you just listen to me and give me money, and pay for our schooling and our education or our products or whatever, you can be ultra wealthy, but wealthy is, well, actually it's a millionaire thing that I've anchored it to it. And all this confirmation bias based on this weird study we did that's not backed or peer reviewed in any way. So it's all a big show. Now, is she totally aware of that? Is she guilty of it? I don't know. She might actually believe all this, which is a little bit sadder, but that's the reality. And so this idea that when you listen to these people and when you're watching these things, think about what it is they're saying. Think about what is the actual backing behind what they're saying and look at it. I mean, because we can just look at this video. We are a minute 30 in, and she's done anchoring bias, mental accounting bias. She's done confirmation bias a couple times, and self-enhancement, right? Taking credit where credit isn't earned. And she's misunderstood the numbers repeatedly with her confirmation bias.
Oh, like, well, you have to be born into a rich family in order to become wealthy. Not true for 8 out of 10 of those people. It's fascinating. Okay, so let's look at a few examples.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. It's confirmation bias. Once again, we don't know that they weren't born in a rich family. We just know they didn't inherit the money.
Of how anyone out there, can really retire a millionaire. So the median household income in the U.S. today is around $67,000.
Yeah, it's actually 70. I mean, she kind of undercut it, but yeah. But household is singles and couples combined. Okay, that's household. The median income per person, per individual, is 54. So, but we're not going to mention that because it would throw off our confirmation bias.
So let's say you invested 15% of your income into retirement vehicles like a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA, starting at age 30 until the typical age of retirement around 67. That means you'll be investing $10,000 every single year. And with the annual...
Okay. If you're making 67, right? 70, right? But that assumes you're a couple. Because you can't invest, an individual, you can only invest I think it's 7,000 or 7,500 into an IRA total, Roth or otherwise. So you were talking about couples, right? And if they invest that money, which ends up, I think, being like $800 a month, something like that. Now, if you're talking about a couple living on 70,000, so there's two people on 70,000. Okay, their take home before tax is about $5,800 a month. For a couple, that's okay. That's decent living. I mean, yeah, but that's not a lot of money when you think about it. It's okay, but it's not a lot. Okay. Now, if you're taking her advice, okay, take 15%, save that. So that's over $800 a month. So now your take home is about $4,960 a month. That's a big swing for a couple. Now, if you have a kid or two kids, that $800 plus a month is a lot. So we're not factoring in how these people are living. So it's kind of an odd thing. Once again, if it comes down to this, if you can do this, great, that's wonderful. And you'll get to do this. Come on, Rachel.
Rate of return being 12%, which I know is not 12%.
It's not 12%. Last 30 years, it's 7 to 8. Now,
but on average, that's what you can get overall. You will have over $6.8 million by the time you retire. And what if I was half wrong? What if I was half?
You're more than half wrong, but okay.
Wrong. Still not too shabby. And
But how do you survive in the meantime? Which we're not discussing. So once again, and it's a familiarity bias on this whole thing. It's like, I've thrown money in, it can happen, it's easy to do, blah, blah, blah. She's going to invest in things that she wants to invest in. I'm sure they're going to
Even if your income, or again, the annual rate of return were less, and even if you started later than 30, you can still mathematically end up a millionaire by continuing to invest at least 15% of your income into retirement in things like good growth stock mutual funds.
Yeah, see, it's all familiarity bias. So now it's familiarity bias, just invest in these sorts of things, do this kind of stuff. The problem is once again, we've gone into all these different biases and we haven't looked at the actual details of the actual situation, right? Because in an actual situation, if you had a couple and they're living on $5,800 a month and you tell them, well, no, save $850 and just live on $49, I mean, that's a swing. That is a big swing in their lifestyle, especially if there's a child involved. If you're talking to an individual, it's a lot less than that on average, in the median even. So once again, when you're going through this, look at what they're telling you, right? Look at what is it we're actually being told. What are we trying to accomplish here, right? So let's look at just the basics. Is it confirmation bias? Are you using experiential bias? Are you using loss aversion? Familiarity bias? Okay. Mental accounting. Are you putting too much value on one thing over the other when they're the same basic thing? Are we going to herd instinct? Are we just following the crowd when that might not be the smart thing to do? Are we using our emotions? Are we anchoring? Are we just saying, this is the value I want? If I make $1 million, I'm rich. Because $1 million, I guarantee you 35 years from now is not worth $1 million today. It's worth a lot less. It's worth about $500,000 today. Self-enhancement. Am I taking credit for things that I'm not supposed to be taking credit for, that I should be giving credit to others? Or am I not taking the blame that I should be? So all these things factor in. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this.